Good morning, everyone. I wanted to talk about something today that often comes up on my Sunday morning brunch streams. And if you've been missing those, then you've definitely been missing out. But essentially, it's the idea that I think that everybody in the community, or at least most people in the community, are doing their cantina farms incorrectly. And in the past, I had said that the way that I do my cantina farms really just feels psychologically better and that it doesn't really make a difference. But based on things that have actually happened in the game recently, I am starting to think about it a little bit in different ways, and that, well, that I'm right, and that in this particular instance, people should probably get on board. And we will talk about that in just a few seconds. So, Cantina farms tend to be a double edged sword in that they are awesome because they do finish or finalize a lot faster than normal or fleet farms. But they also kind of suck because, well, signal data is that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gate that all of us feel essentially at all times, right? So this is something that we just always need, no matter where you are in the game, whether you're doing your first GL, whether you're doing your last GL, you are constantly on this screen trying to get yourself signal data. So anytime a Cantina farm comes up, we say, all right, this is awesome. I can do that Cantina farm a lot quicker. But then we also say, oh, this sucks because I'm going to lose 3 weeks of signal data for being able to do that. And I'm here to tell you that there is a better way. And I will back that up with data after I explain. But I do want to make one caveat here when we're talking about my way of doing things. If your Cantina farm is your limiting factor farm, then you want to use all your energy towards that. So, for example, let's say Mark 6 is the only farm left that you need in order to work on Leviathan, right? That's a Cantina farm, it's a 12 node, it's the only thing you have left. 100%. You should burn all of your energy towards getting the Mark 6 because you'll be able to get to Leviathan faster. That's not the case we're talking about here. And I will explain that case with an example a little bit towards the end. What I do when it comes to Cantina farms is in the morning, will go to my Cantina battles. I will do my 3 refreshes, which I've already done today, right? And I will put those towards whatever signal data farm I am currently doing. Right now, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm flush on any of it, especially with so many relic projects coming up. But I'm not in a tight spot where it necessarily matters which one I'm farming. But I'm going to do about, I think it's like 27 to 28 battles of that, sometime around 6 to 7 in the morning when I get to my phone. Then around midday, so 2 p.m. is my midday refresh, right? We go into quests, we hit the refresh for the 45 Cantina energy. That is when I will go into my character shards. Whoever I happen to be farming at that moment, right now it happens to be Hunter, though I have been neglecting him over the last few days because of bonus drops. And I will apply what will end up being about 8 to 10 battles to that character around my midday refresh. Is it slower? Yes, 100%, right? 10 battles a day is much slower than 42 battles a day, which I think for a 10 node is what you end up getting, but that might be the 12 node. 10 might be 50. I don't know. It's not important to the point. Now, the reason that I do that is if I am farming a whole new team, right? And we'll use Bad Batch as our example, which is a little disingenuous right now since we had bonus drops. 4 days ago, my Wrecker wasn't done. My Batcher wasn't done. My Crosshair wasn't even near done. My Hunter was at 0 of 100 for 7 stars. So bonus energy has kind of shifted that. But if I'm farming all of these characters and Hunter happened to be the 3rd character released, I know for a fact that Crosshair is going to be my limiting factor, right? And if Crosshair is going to be my limiting factor, it doesn't make sense for me to cut myself off on signal data for what amounts to be about 3 weeks to a month when I could also be doing upgrades during that time, right? Essentially, I don't need Hunter Mercenary Relict. I don't need him upgraded. He won't help me in any way in any team that I'm going to use in essentially any game mode. So having him upgraded faster doesn't meaningfully benefit me. Whereas that month of signal data, even though in the past I've said this was psychological and not a, like you're getting it on the back end or the front end. But the reality is that when we're talking about timelines of 2 weeks to a month to 6 weeks to 2 months, whatever it is, that's time for being able to build out other teams, help you with other GL grinds, finish other GL grinds. I know in the last couple of days, I have had to relic several characters for Rise of the Empire for my guild, which would not have been possible if I hadn't also been doing signal data during those times. Essentially, it trades the speed of the Cantina farm for being able to not stall your account in the interim. Now, some people may have the argument of, what if we took a chance and what if Crosshair ended up also being a Cantina farm? Well, the beauty in that is that you can speed up or slow down Cantina farms at your leisure, right? So if Crosshair ended up also being a Cantina farm, at that point, we can make the decision on our own counts of, hey, do I need Hunter faster? Do I want to get myself down to 1 Cantina farm? Great, let me put all my energy into Hunter for the next 2 weeks. And then I'll be done, and then I can decide whether I want to keep speed up on Crosshair or not, right? Essentially, they are infinitely sped upable, which gives you the ultimate balance in deciding how fast or how slow a farm should be. So I did prepare a not very pretty, but a poignant example of, not there, here, a poignant example of this using Omega, Hunter, and Crosshair as an example. The amount of shards that are available for each of those characters that I put here are specifically based on their marquee release date. So I didn't just randomly put numbers in there. Each of these characters was released roughly 27 to 28 days after the other one. And we were talking about for Omega, having 10 battles a day or 1 refresh. And with Crosshair, we're talking about release date for Crosshair, right? So he's just started. And for Hunter, we were talking about 9 battles a day, which seems to be roughly the average that I find when I'm doing those battles. And we can see that at this point, if I do 1 refresh on Omega or continue Omega in that way, it would take about 30 days, right, to finish the farm. It would take about 168 days to finish the farm for Crosshair. And if I go to 2 refreshes with Crosshair, it would take about 56 days. Now for Hunter, which we've also isolated as Cantina 9, it would take 66 days, which means that it would finish just slightly slower than Crosshair, so the full team being usable. And that means that I can either choose to allow Hunter to continue to be the slowest farm, or in the last couple of days of Crosshair, I can speed that up and only have to deal with, what would it be, 10 days. Well, actually, it would only be like 3 or 4 days if we bumped it up to like 42 or so. We can even look here. Let's say 42. Nope, wrong one. Right, we bumped it up to 42. Even starting here, that would be 14 days on its own. But if we're looking at the end of the farm, roughly 10 days left, 90 shards, let's say this is roughly 90 battles left, we're looking at like 2 or 3 days worth of having to speed up that farm, which kind of makes it super worth it to slow down your relic farms. Now, what I'm talking about in the actual game as to why it now makes a lot more sense to do this is we never really know when we're gonna get something like bonus drops, right? For people who did farm Hunter on the front end and who sped him up considerably, it did change. Oh, actually not Hunter, because Hunter is mod energy. But let's just assume, because Zetas are the most powerful of the bonus drops, that having Hunter upgraded faster would have given you the Zeta bonus drop here. The difference in drop rate is so significant that while, yes, you would see roughly 1 full Zeta over the bonus time, arguably the increase in signal data is far more important, right? So going back to the Hunter point, with something like a bonus drop here, the people who did finish Hunter up early ended up, I think they get Chirotech shock prods here, but they end up losing out on all of the signal data that they had to burn on Hunter. Whereas my Hunter at the beginning of these bonus drops started at, actually, I think like at the end of 5 stars, so somewhere around like 80 of 85, and now is 81 of 100. By the end of the day, will be somewhere around 90 of 100, which will effectively mean that 3.5 weeks or so of signal data has been made up for me that I will not lose out on, and I will only need to farm him for 2 to 3 days in order to finish him up, and I won't even have to do that as all of my signal data because I know that the raid is not coming out until next week. So effectively, the idea behind this video here is to get you to think about how you're doing your farms, why you're doing your farms, and how fast your farms are. Because yes, how fast your farms are does significantly change your resource acquisition. It does significantly change your resource spend, and it can save you a hell of a lot of crystals on the back end if you really think about it and say, hey, wait a second, doing 3 shards or 3 refreshes of this character doesn't actually speed me up anyway. I still have to wait for XYZ. If I bring it down to 2 refreshes, I'm saving 50 crystals a day, and that 50 crystals a day over 30 days ends up being 1,500 crystals, right? So while I am specifically talking about Cantina farms in this video itself, the idea behind what we're doing here is evergreen to all of the energy types. With that said, I hope it helps. Peace out. Have a great day.